Most men are weak because they want to be good. That is the truth they cannot say out loud. Not in church, not in schools, not even to themselves, but I will say it for them. They would rather be praised than feared. They would rather be liked than respected. And because of this hunger, this pathetic thirst for approval, they chain themselves to an image of virtue that leaves them exposed, defanged, and easily discarded. They think goodness is a shield. It is not. It is an open invitation. When a man declares himself to be good, what he truly says is, I am safe. I will not hurt you. I will not challenge you. I will not rise above you. And the world, which is far more cunning than he dares admit, hears this and nods, then steps over him. I have seen this my whole life. Men trained from birth to seek validation instead of victory. Men told that goodness is the highest virtue, and so they contort themselves to appear noble, moral, fair. But goodness, real or faked, without power is meaningless. It is charity with no teeth. It is mercy with no sword. What these men do not understand is this. To be good in a world ruled by wolves is to walk into the forest wearing bells. You want to be moral? Fine, but first, be strong. First, be feared. First, become someone who can choose morality, not someone who uses it as a disguise for weakness, because that is what most men do. They choose the illusion of goodness because it excuses their inability to confront conflict. It excuses their fear of taking what they want. It makes their failure look righteous. Their mediocrity becomes a badge. Their submission becomes virtue. And slowly, they forget that they are playing a game, one they were never taught to win. They believe that goodness will protect them. It doesn't. The good man without strength is not admired. He is pitied and then discarded. I have never trusted a man who declares his goodness too loudly. He is usually hiding something, a lack of courage, a lack of will, a lack of results. The truly powerful man does not declare he is good. He declares nothing. He acts and lets the results define him. I do not despise morality. I despise the weak man who hides behind it. A man must never confuse goodness with usefulness. One brings applause, the other brings survival. Most men will choose the former, and that is why most men are replaceable. They walk through life as servants in disguise, desperate to please, terrified to offend, mistaking passivity for peace. You must understand this. The world is not governed by ideals. It is governed by consequences. Those who wish to be good above all else will be ruled by those who understand this law. Because goodness that is not backed by strength is not virtue. It is submission. And in a world where power decides everything, submission is suicide. When you tell a man he must be good, you do not make him moral. You make him controllable. This is why so many institutions preach kindness while consolidating power. They do not want good men. They want obedient men. Men who will kneel when commanded, who will call their own cowardice compassion, who will trade their instincts for praise. And the greatest lie of all, that to be feared is evil. No, to be feared is to be free. When a man is feared, no one questions his right to speak. No one dares diminish his presence. No one forgets his name. And if that fear is tempered by control, sharpened by intelligence, and guided by purpose, then it is not tyranny, it is rule. But the good man, the soft man, the man who seeks to be loved by all, he is ruled by his emotions, by his image, by the judgment of others. He walks with his head low and his heart open, hoping the world will reward his vulnerability. It won't. The world does not respect you for being good. It respects you for being dangerous and disciplined. So I will not tell you to be kind. I will not tell you to be gentle, not yet. First, become dangerous. make yourself capable of cruelty, and then restrain it. Forge the ability to harm and choose not to. That is real virtue. A lion that refuses to eat is noble. A sheep that cannot bite is not noble. It is lunch. And yet most men want to be the sheep, not because they are holy, but because it is easier to call your fear a moral decision than to admit you are terrified of your own power. They tell themselves stories to justify it. That strength corrupts, that aggression is toxic, that dominance is evil, and with every lie they whisper to themselves, they sink deeper into irrelevance. They want to be good, but not useful. They want to be praised, but not powerful. And then they wonder why they are ignored, why no one listens, why no one fears disappointing them, why their boundaries are crossed, their needs dismissed, their lives forgotten. It is because they have chosen goodness over self-respect, appearance over reality, safety over sovereignty. They are the architects of their own exile. A man who has never tasted power cannot understand restraint. This is why the goodness of most men is useless. It is not restraint, it is lack. They are not kind because they have conquered themselves. They are kind because they have never built the capacity to be anything else. Their virtue is involuntary, and therefore it is meaningless. Real virtue begins when you stand at the edge of darkness and choose not to fall, when you can burn a man's life to the ground and instead offer him a hand. That is power. That is control. That is a man who is to be respected and feared. But before you can offer mercy, you must earn the right to be merciless. You must train your will until it becomes iron. You must suffer, alone, in silence, until you can sit with discomfort without complaint. You must become so acquainted with pain that you smile when others flinch. Then, and only then, will your kindness carry weight. Because now it is a choice, not a shield, not a facade. This is what I mean when I say, become dangerous. Build a body that others do not wish to confront. Build a mind that slices through falsehood like a knife. Speak little, but speak with gravity. Train your eyes to study the room before your mouth ever moves. Study weakness, study fear, study patterns, then learn to strike. Not when provoked, but when it matters. Only then may you speak of goodness, because only then will it mean something. To be kind without power is to be invisible. To be kind with power is to be revered. And the man who is revered is listened to, he is obeyed. He shapes outcomes without raising his voice. Not because he is nice, but because everyone knows what he is capable of. And they pray, they never see it. That is the kind of man I respect. That is the kind of man the world bends around. But the man who wants to be loved by all, he is doomed. He spends his life polishing his image, filtering his opinions, asking for permission to exist. And in the end, no one loves him. Not really, because love based on performance is never real. It is rented affection, and the price is your soul. You must let go of this sickness, this disease of needing to be liked. You must destroy it, and in its place, plant discipline. Let others worry about being nice. You must be just. Let others talk about fairness. You must study leverage. Let others cry about betrayal. You must learn how to make yourself irreplaceable. The world doesn't care about your intentions. It kneels to execution. So execute. The man who wants to be good above all else is the easiest man to control. He gives you his boundaries up front. He tells you how to move around him. He signals what he will and will not tolerate, not through power, but through desperate pleas for approval. And in doing so, he gives away his strategy, his entire framework, his operating code. And once a man reveals that he is no longer dangerous. You see, when I encounter a man who wants to be feared, I take him seriously. But a man who wants to be good, He is already tamed, because I know how far he'll go, not far enough. I know what he values, being seen as righteous. I know what he fears, judgment, rejection, and conflict. He has told me his weaknesses without realizing it. This is what makes most men weak, not their lack of strength, but their obsession with moral purity. They think that goodness is a virtue to be worshipped, but goodness without strategy is just a leash, and someone is always holding the other end. It's no coincidence that those who preach most about being good often hold power over those who listen, because goodness is a message directed at the obedient, never at the rulers. No king was ever made by being gentle. No empire was built by a man who wanted everyone to like him. No throne was defended by soft hands. The men who shaped history were not saints. They were not clean. They were not smiling, passive, selfless icons of virtue. They were brutal, calculating, patient, and when the time came, they chose action over appearance. And yet, the modern man, he is trained differently. He's told to keep his voice low, his head down, his edges softened. He is taught to apologize for his instincts, to second-guess his ambition, to submit to the emotional demands of others, all in the name of goodness. But what does he gain? Approval from people he doesn't respect, a job that drains him, relationships that hollow him out, and a life of quiet desperation, wondering why he still feels hollow despite doing everything right. He is weak because he chose to be good before choosing to be useful, before choosing to be feared, before choosing to be sovereign, and now he walks through life with a moral checklist and no results. Let me say it again. If your goodness is not backed by results, it is not goodness. It is decoration. If you want to stop being weak, you must kill the part of yourself that craves goodness. This does not mean you become evil. It means you stop begging for validation from those who would never follow you if you stopped smiling. It means you stop letting guilt shape your decisions. It means you stop letting other people define your worth by how easily you can be tamed. Weakness hides behind goodness because weakness has nothing else. So here is your first act of rebellion. Choose usefulness over goodness. Be the man who can solve problems. Be the man who gets things done. Be the man who doesn't need to speak to be heard. Be the man who knows how to say no, how to walk away, how to stand alone without flinching. That man does not need to announce his morality. His very presence becomes its own kind of order. People do not follow you because you are good. They follow you because you are steady, because you are decisive, because you do not break under pressure, because when everyone else panics, you do not blink. That is what they trust. Not your kindness, not your politeness, but your presence, your force, your silence under fire. And if you want to build that kind of presence, you must go to war with the little boy inside you who still wants to be liked by everyone. You must bury him with discipline, with discomfort, with action. Stop asking for permission. Stop explaining yourself. Stop waiting for someone to notice how nice you've been. The world owes you nothing for being agreeable. Men are not remembered for how obedient they were. They are remembered for what they shaped and what they destroyed in the process. Your softness must be earned. Your kindness must be rare. Your goodness must be chosen, not inherited, because that is when it becomes power. You want to be a good man? Then first become a dangerous one. Then silence that danger. Let your strength be silent. Let your patience be terrifying. Let your presence be the answer to the room's anxiety. That is what it means to be respected. And respect is the only version of love worth having. Let others chase praise. You must chase discipline. Let others crave approval. You must crave silence. Let others brag about how good they are. You must prove how dangerous you can be and never need to show it. This is the path, not of a saint, not of a tyrant, but of a man who walks through a soft world with a sharp mind and a quiet, unshakable edge, the kind of man who will never be told what to be, because he already is. Most men are weak because they want to be good. It is not an accident. It is a decision. A slow, quiet death by approval. A life traded away in tiny pieces for applause, for peace, for the illusion of safety. They are weak because they would rather look righteous than be feared, because they would rather serve than offend, because they think goodness will make them matter, but it doesn't. You must understand this. No one fears a man who wants to be good. And if you are not feared, you will not be respected. If you are not respected, you will not be heard. If you are not heard, you will not be followed. And if you are not followed, you are irrelevant. So, you have a choice. You can keep pretending that your morality is enough. You can keep hoping that by staying quiet, soft, and agreeable, the world will one day reward you for your compliance. Or you can wake up. You can remember what it means to be formidable. You can stop asking who you're allowed to be and start deciding who you must become, not for praise, not for claps, but for control. You must learn to stand in rooms without shrinking, to speak without apology, to take without guilt. You must learn to fight, not for violence, but for the certainty that no one owns you. Only then can you choose goodness without being enslaved by it. Only then can you be kind without being consumed. Only then can you walk like a king in a world of servants. Because once you no longer need to be good, once you've killed the part of you that needed permission, then and only then does your goodness become real. It becomes dangerous, it becomes sacred, and the world will feel it. They won't know why they look at you with caution. They won't know why your silence unnerves them. They won't know why your nod feels like judgment and your smile like a verdict. But they will obey it because most men are weak and you are not. Not anymore.